So, why do I think that everyone should believe in God, including atheists? We have all been taught by Christianity or other religions in the West that God is a man in the sky or some sort of almighty creator. The whole act of spirituality in the West has been taught in this outdated way that is of no use for us today. It's taught in these stories that make no sense or in these like parables that lead to nothing. So, if God is not a man in the sky, what is he? I think that God is the universe. He is everything around us, including you and me. And the problem with denying that you believe in God is like denying that the universe exists. It leaves you a feeling detached from the universe when in fact you're a part of it. But I can understand how you come to this conclusion when you're told from a young age that God is a man in the sky, or if you don't obey his rules, you will go to hell. You start to become suspicious. And when you pair that up with the hypocrisy of the church and religion in general, it only makes you want to reject the whole thing and not be a part of it. That is actually what happened to me. And I was an atheist from when I was still going to elementary school until my senior year of university. When I was studying, I knew that objectively speaking, I should be happy. I live in a good country. I had enough money. I have good friends and went to a good university. But I would always find a way to be depressed or unhappy. It always felt like something was missing. So I started to go back to reading books about religion and spirituality, especially the ones on Buddhism, Zen, and other religions. And what I found out is that there is actually a clear connection between all of them. And that is that the end goal of all religions and all spirituality is a state of non duality. What every religion is pursuing is enlightenment, which is, in other words, a state in which the darkness or the things that are suppressed in your unconscious are made conscious and a light is shed on them. Every person has a conscious and an unconscious part of their mind. And we like to suppress the things that are usually judged harshly in society or have a bad connotation, such as being lazy, angry, greedy, and so on. And the problem with our mind is that you can't just delete or erase something by suppressing it or denying it exists. These things manifest in your life and in your relationship with others. So instead of hating your laziness, you deny it and you project this hate on your coworker or on a homeless person and you start hating them for it. So this is basically the whole root of all the bad things and crime that happen in the world. They just manifest in different ways. So the end goal is to accept the bad things about yourself, which will make you accept the bad things in others and give love to those things. This is, I guess, also the end goal of every human life, to be happy, to feel loved, and to love others. And I think that any religion, when studied like any other subject and not followed blindly, can give you good lessons and shortcuts on how to achieve this. So, as I was saying, our main goal in life is to be happy, to feel love, and be loved. And that is only possible when you approach this state of non duality. So, because being in a state where you are where you mostly feel love is not a state where you think. It's more of a state where you are really present in the moment and you're not judging things that harshly. In that sense, for you to love someone unconditionally, you can't start thinking logically or rationally. Non-duality is not logical, it just is. The more you judge things, the more you're using your brain to discern what is good and what is bad. So don't misunderstand me that being logical and rational is bad. As Alan Watts would say, our mind is a good servant but a bad master. There are times when we need to use our brain. It's just that we use it for a lot of unnecessary things and that makes our life worse. As my country is mostly Christian, I was always exposed more to this kind of religion. And by rereading the Bible, I could find a lot of examples of this non duality. But when people would interpret things from the Bible throughout history, they interpret it based on their current state of consciousness. If you're living, for example, in fear or you're suppressing, you will see the world as a scary place and you will start to project this fear onto the things you read. That's what people did with the Bible in the past. They would see God as someone who punishes you and sends you to hell if you're bad. But this is not correct. For example, in the beginning of the Bible, there's the story of Adam and Eve. And it clearly describes how God put Adam and Eve into heaven, in other words, Eden, and told them not to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. By them eating from that tree, they suddenly start seeing each other as man and female and start covering their bodies. And since they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they can no longer be in heaven and they are thrown out. So, as you can see, this story already shows the essential goal of Christianity, that if you want to experience heaven, you have to start being in a non dual state of mind. There is no good or bad, there just is. There is no actual afterlife, and there is no heaven and hell as it is told to us by the church. Heaven and hell is something you experience in this life based on how much you're close to the non duality mindset or how far you are from it. So I know that this all sounds kind of out there, but anybody who had a spiritual experience or felt unconditional love will know that this is not something that can be explained by logic or reason. So another really misunderstood thing is that if you do something wrong, you did a sin or you will go to hell in the afterlife. But we are all sinners because we believe in good and bad. So there's a lot of examples like this that actually misinterpret the Bible and what other teachers said. And as I said before, that is because when someone is reading the literature, he is projecting his own level of consciousness onto it, his own unconscious program onto the teachings. Coming back to the topic of the video, to me, spirituality and being religious are not the same thing. You can be really spiritual without belonging to a religion. So you don't have to deny such an important part of your life just because you don't agree with what certain religions have to say, or to just deny everything because the idea of a man in the sky is stupid. I also don't think that you have to follow religious teachings to come to this enlightened state or to a state of high consciousness. So you might ask, okay, then why do I need religion if this can be achieved in many ways? To that, I would say, okay, why would you not use the guidance and knowledge from the last thousands of years to accelerate your learning curve? When you, for example, start learning math, we learn what took humanity thousands of years in about 10 years' time. So the same applies to spirituality. You can learn much faster if you learn the most important things that people learned in history, and you can learn from the mistakes that people did in history. So then again, you can also find your own way of learning. Everything that I'm talking about is that these are actually the core principles of spirituality. This, and not just spirituality, but this world we live in, and for what religions were truly created in the first place. So, with this framework in mind, you can read the Bible and other spiritual books and extract valuable information from them that can improve your life. You can also take lessons from people who are not religious but are spiritual. I think this is a much better and more advanced framework than just saying I'm Christian, Muslim, or an atheist and just denying the lessons from other religions. There is also the argument of how can I prove these things I'm talking about in this video, so why should you believe in it? First of all, I don't think everything in our world can be proven by science. Some things are just too complex to do a study. The proof for this is something you can collect for yourself. You can try meditating and try to study spirituality for a couple of months and see if there is a positive or negative difference in your life. You can see if you are more or less happy when you do it, the same you would do with any other activity in your life. In the end, I will leave you with this. I think that if you want to change yourself in any meaningful way, you will have to use spiritual practices either consciously or unconsciously. It is up to you which way you will decide, the faster and direct way or the slower, indirect way. In the end, change happens when you become aware of your destructive programs and let go of them, which is not a logical process but an emotional one. In the end, you need to have a belief that you can change to be able to do it. Also, for everything you want to change in your life, you first need to have the belief that it is possible to achieve it, and only then you can start with the practical stuff. So I think that belief is an essential part of human life in all its forms.